This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin. Families of the 27 campers and counselors who died in devastating flooding at Camp Mystic last summer were back in a Travis County courtroom Monday. A judge is hearing more evidence and testimony about what happened at the camp in the early morning hours of July 4th. It's tied to the lawsuit filed by the family of Seal Stewart, the missing camper from Austin whose body has never been found. Last month, a judge granted a temporary injunction that blocked the camp from using its Guadalupe River site. Camp Mystic has appealed, calling the ruling deeply flawed and arguing their clients will suffer harm if they can't use that part of the campus. The camp's director, Edward Eastland, took the stand Monday. His father and the camp's former director, Dick Eastland, also died in the flooding. Edward testified that Camp Mystic did not get warnings in the days leading up to July 4th about possible floods, even though the Texas Department of Emergency Management and the National Weather Service had sent out notices about the possibility of heavy rain and flooding in the Camp Mystic area. He said that Camp Mystic leaders did not have any meetings to talk about the impending weather forecast or warnings. Brad Beckworth, an attorney for the Stewart family, questioned Eastland about why camp leaders were not more prepared for the disaster.
Between 2:26 and 10 p.m. on July 3rd, did Camp Mystic take any steps to prepare for this potential flooding and flash flood? Yes or no?
I mean, that's hard to. We did not expect what was going to happen. No, sir.
The hearing could last up to 3 days, and we expect other members of the Eastland family could be called to testify as well. Some Austin City Council members want to make it easier for people to report crimes without fear of arrest or deportation. Next week, the council could move forward with a series of meetings to explore possible changes. Here's Adam Bennett.
Whether online, by phone, or in person at municipal court, not paying your traffic tickets or other Class C misdemeanors in Austin can land you here. A concern Councilmember Mike Siegel says can keep victims and witnesses from reporting crimes and other public safety issues.
If you have an unpaid traffic ticket, that shouldn't deter you from contacting the city and asking for help.
He's seeking solutions through what he calls the Safe to Call Working Group. The proposal on the April 23rd City Council agenda would bring together community groups to develop policies for 3 areas. 1, how to call for help without being exposed to arrest for low-level warrants. 2, cutting the number of warrants and arrests for Class C misdemeanors. And 3, looking closely at how police handle civil administrative warrants from ICE.
The idea that someone might be afraid to report domestic violence because maybe they have a civil immigration concern is obviously not good for public safety.
Siegel pointed to the 911 call in January that led to the deportation of a Honduran woman and her 5-year-old daughter. That drew outrage during this community meeting in February with Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis.
Believe me, the majority of officers are not calling ICE on administrative warrants.
Since then, the department has revised its policies to clarify when officers contact ICE. And Chief Davis says APD will continue having discussions with officers. And soon, Siegel hopes.
We're really thankful that the Chief of Police, Lisa Davis, is willing to work with us on this.
More discussions with the community, too.
That was Adam Bennett reporting. If the council approves the plan next week, the city manager would report back recommendations from that working group by August 30th. City of Austin leaders are warning the public about the dangers of flash flooding in central Texas. During a news conference Monday, city and county leaders emphasized just 6 inches of moving water can knock an adult down and 1 foot can sweep away most cars. Austinites can sign up for alerts at warncentraltexas.org.
Flash flooding is the #1 weather-related killer in south central Texas. This region is widely recognized as the most flash-prone area of the United States. Unfortunately, we also lead the nation in flash flood fatalities.
Officials are also reminding people to have a family emergency plan and a kit with food, water, and medications ready. Austin water crews are still working to patch a hole downtown more than 12 hours after a water main break. The busy downtown intersection at Red River and 6th Street is shut down, and city officials say this is more evidence of Austin's aging infrastructure.
As Austin water crews dug into the intersection of Red River and 6th Streets,
it's been down. It's been very slow as compared to a normal Monday.
the work dug into Casino Amy's profits at Casino El Camino.
We're probably gonna lose about $3,000 in sales.
Austin water crews responded to reports of a water main break around 4:30 Monday morning. Austin Water says the force of the water caused the damage to the roadway. Then crews had to get in there to repair an 8-inch water main. 20 feet of the pipe has to be replaced. Mayor Kirk Watson says this is another sign of the city's aging infrastructure.
On the one hand, how do we make sure that we continue to provide services in the city that are upgraded, quality, and focusing on the future, and at the same time do it in a way where the burden on the taxpayer isn't so much that they can't afford to stay in Austin.
Amy feels relieved the work being done didn't mean a washout for his business.
I was very pleased that we were able to open, that we still had water when I first heard about it.
But he hopes work wraps up as soon as possible.
Actually, I talked to one of the head honchos over there earlier when he came in to buy a burger, and he said they should be wrapped up late this evening. So I'm hoping the street will be open tomorrow.
That was Daniel Gomez reporting. Georgetown's historic Palace Theater is getting some much-needed financial help after it was damaged in January's winter storm. The W.D. Kelly Foundation announced a $100,000 matching grant to help rebuild. The theater estimates restoration will cost more than $500,000. And so far, they've raised nearly $200,000 through donations and fundraisers, and leaders say with this new match, they could reach 80% of their goal. Repairs are already underway with plans to reopen by the end of this month. The theater is still accepting donations, though. You can also contribute to the theater's Save a Seat campaign. Owners of the original Black's Barbecue are planning to open a second location in Austin. According to our partners, the Austin American-Statesman, Black's Barbecue plans to take over the old Trudy's Texas Star on West 30th Street. There's no opening date yet, but the Statesman's report says the owners bought the property and a lot next door. The new spot will be family-friendly with a kids' play area, meat smokers, and a full liquor license. And that's all from us here in Austin. Have a great day.
Let's take a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. A 20-year-old man from the Woodlands is accused of trying to kill OpenAI founder Sam Altman. The FBI releasing new images showing the suspect, now identified as Daniel Moreno Gama, allegedly throwing a Molotov cocktail at Sam Altman's home in San Francisco Friday night. Investigators also say he was seen at OpenAI headquarters, where he allegedly threatened to burn down the building. Then on Monday, federal agents raided a home in the Woodlands connected to the suspect. Jason Miles was there, and he's getting reaction from neighbors.
The end of a cul-de-sac became a parking lot this morning for a number of FBI and other law enforcement vehicles conducting a search warrant related to a firebombing case 1,900 miles away.
Well, I'm a little disturbed, but I don't know that I didn't feel that we were in any kind of danger.
Neighbors tell me they first noticed activity around 10 o'clock, but never heard sirens or any loud noises.
I actually went out to walk my dogs and saw that there was stuff over there. I'm like, not my business. Went down to the end of the block, and then I noticed that the block was literally blocked.
We've learned the home raided today is linked to 20-year-old Daniel Moreno Gama, the man accused of throwing a Molotov cocktail at OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's house in San Francisco last Friday before being arrested at OpenAI's headquarters, where he allegedly threatened to burn down the building. Moreno Gama is already in jail on local charges and faces a host of federal charges as well.
Are you surprised by the potential connection?
Oh, heck yeah. In this neighborhood, it's extremely quiet. Everybody's nice and, no problems whatsoever.
A neighbor who didn't want to be identified told us the couple who lives in the house where the search warrant was served previously invited her to church, and she cannot imagine their participation in whatever may involve a family member.
They're wonderful people, and I would be shocked to know if they were involved in anything that was illegal.
Jason Miles reporting up in the Woodlands. Morena Gama is in jail in California facing both state and federal charges, including attempted murder and attempted arson. A man has been charged with murder after police say he killed his co-worker with a sledgehammer in a home they were renovating in the Spring area. Devon Raming spoke with investigators. He's got the latest.
Well, investigators say the suspect in this case, Josue Chirino, has been charged with murder after being detained over the weekend, and they say he also was working on the home with the victim in this case as a co-worker. Investigators say the victim, Juan Salinas, had not been seen or heard from since Friday afternoon. His family made a heartbreaking discovery Saturday morning, finding his body inside a home near the Hardy Toll Road. During the investigation, deputies learned the car Salinas drove to the home was also missing when the family arrived, and that vehicle was later reported stolen and found just hours later with 4 people inside, including 2 adults and 2 minors. A woman and the 2 minors were eventually released, but investigators say the circumstances surrounding Salinas' death are highly suspicious and do not appear to be accidental.
From my experience and what I've seen in there, this definitely does not look like a natural death, doesn't look like something that would happen, from a fall if he fell while he was working at the, I'm not going to go into detail about the injuries, but the injuries are too severe.
Meanwhile, the sheriff's office says no one currently lives at the home where Salinas' body was found because it is under renovation, and investigators also say they have spoken with the homeowners as the investigation continues. Now, the suspect in this case, Josue Chirino, is currently being processed through the Harris County jail system, and once that process is complete, we'll wait to see when he's expected to make his first appearance in court. Reporting in downtown Houston, Devon Raming, KHOU 11 News.
And a reminder, of course, investigators later clarifying that they believe the weapon used in that murder was a sledgehammer. A Houston woman is sharing her story 1 week after her husband was shot and killed outside a club, then dying in her arms. This weekend, family and friends gathered to say goodbye to 33-year-old Miguel Padilla as police keep searching for the shooter. Megan Reyna spoke to the family dealing with this unthinkable loss.
It's not your typical funeral procession, but for the family of 33-year-old Miguel Padilla, known to many as Mike, this is exactly what he would have wanted.
And I know that he's like smiling down. This was his thing.
Mike was well known in the Slab community. On Sunday, before his funeral service, hundreds gathered in the 3rd Ward to say goodbye.
What went through your mind when you found out about what had happened to him?
I was in disbelief. I was heartbroken, not Mike.
On April 4th, Houston police say Mike was shot and killed outside the Paradise City Gentlemen's Club off the Gulf Freeway. Investigators say a group of people inside were in some sort of argument that led to the parking lot. Detectives believe Mike was an innocent victim. His wife, Monica Castillo, was there that morning.
It's different from having him walk in the door every day, lay down and wake up together, to him taking his last breath in my arms. So I'm really not processing it.
Police say whoever shot him got away, but this week they released this video showing 6 persons of interest. As of Sunday, HPD says they're still looking to speak with them.
So much more to live, yeah. And that was robbed from him.
But his wife says she's confident police will solve this case. Her focus right now is on the 6 children he leaves behind and honoring a man she says brought joy to so many.
This was his baby. We're gonna be okay.
He was just nice, sweet to me, and he will always spend time with me.
Megan Reyna, KHOU 11 News.
Parents and coaches pushing back after learning the ice rink at Memorial City Mall will close this summer. Families saying the ice skating community is losing another place for practice and competition. Troy Kless has a report on social media.
The Houston ice skating and hockey community is scrambling right now after they just learned that one of their ice rinks in town will be closing permanently. I'm Troy Klesson. I'm a reporter in Houston. We're talking about the ice rink at Memorial City Mall. Last week, staff confirmed to KHOU 11 that the ice rink would be closing July 30th. I spoke with a coach of an all-girls hockey team here in Houston, and he believes this is going to create a major issue of access to a rink, which is already a barrier for playing. Now, I asked Memorial City Mall staff about the time frame of this rollout because parents feel that 3.5 months of notice is not enough. They say in part of a statement that it is enough time for adjustments to be made and for people to complete their sessions and transition to other facilities. As for what's next for the existing ice rink at Memorial City Mall, that's unclear. It's closed right now due to maintenance issues. And what's the future of it long term? Well, we're still waiting to find out. We have all the information right now on KHOU.com.
The battle over ice. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
Well, hey there, Texas. Today we've got lots of clouds around, and it's been pretty warm and humid around here lately. That's going to continue to be the case as we go throughout the next couple of days, at least until we can get a cold front to come through. And eventually we actually do have a cold front coming through, but it's going to take some time. So for this afternoon, warm, humid, and thunderstorms for some. Now, as we get into tomorrow, thunderstorms are going to be a little bit more likely for most of us. Now, on Thursday, it does look dry. It looks very warm. The rain eventually moves off to the east, but we could still have some clouds around. So breaking it down city by city around Amarillo today, it's going to be warm and windy. Temperatures climb into the mid-80s, but tomorrow afternoon we're expecting some sunshine with a high of only around 80 degrees. But that doesn't last very long. We're going to be back in the upper 80s by Thursday, and the wind does return. Now in Austin, we're going to see a little bit more cloud cover today. Temperatures in the mid-80s, and temperatures don't move a whole lot over the next couple of days. We're looking at low 80s by the time we get into tomorrow, with a low chance of seeing some rain and storms, but we're back in the upper 80s by Thursday. Around DFW, a high of about 80 degrees for today. Tomorrow, though, we have a higher chance of seeing some rain and storms, so temperatures will be dropping down into the upper 70s. On Thursday, we're looking dry, so temperatures have more opportunity to warm up. Temperatures climb back into the mid-80s. Around Houston, mid-80s today, mid-80s tomorrow, upper 80s by Thursday, and the overall chance of rain looks very low over the next couple of days for Houston. Now in Lubbock, it looks pretty windy today. We're going to be back in the mid-80s by the time we get to Thursday, though. Temperatures will climb into the upper 80s. Now, we do have a chance of rain in San Antonio, but not until tomorrow. Today, pretty cloudy. Rain moves in tomorrow, but by Thursday, we have the clouds around. The rain moves out and temperatures climb back into the upper 80s. And kind of the same thing for Waco. Today, mid-80s, lots of clouds. The chance of rain picks up tomorrow. Temperatures go down by a few degrees. The rain moves out for your Thursday, so temperatures climb into the upper 80s. Now, looking at that time cast, I'm starting it at noon today, and we have a couple of showers in parts of western Texas, but you can see how a line tries to form. This is going to be later this evening at around 7 o'clock. Eventually, that line will become a little bit more intense, and the coverage picks up a little bit more by Wednesday morning. But by Wednesday afternoon, more of us will see some scattered showers, possibly a few thunderstorms, but the overall threat for any strong to severe weather, that's going to stay pretty low. By the time we get into Wednesday night to Thursday morning, the rain moves off to the east. You can see by Thursday morning we still have some clouds around, but most of the state does look dry during that time. Later in the afternoon, skies become partly cloudy. We do see a little bit more cloud cover around the panhandle, but we remain dry. So for today, you can see where we've got that level 2. So a slight risk of seeing some severe storms, the storms that could pop up later today and into the evening. That is just going to pose a very low threat for some wind and hail. Once we get into tomorrow, though, that threat for the severe storms will still be generally in that area, but now that slight risk lifts a little bit farther off to the north. So North Texas, we have a higher chance of seeing some rain and storms that could potentially become strong to severe. Only parts of North Texas, though. So for tonight, temperatures drop down into the upper 60s and low 70s. Tomorrow afternoon, we're still expecting mostly cloudy skies. It's going to be warm and it's going to be humid. On Wednesday, we've got that high of about 78 degrees at DFW because we actually do have a pretty decent chance of seeing some rain and storms. Same thing with Abilene, but 83 degrees in Austin, 81 in Houston, and 84 over in Shreveport. Air quality index, we're going to be in that moderate category at DFW, also around Austin, but Houston, you should be in that good category. Breaking it down region by region, West Texas for tomorrow, temperatures in the upper 70s in El Paso, but low 80s return for your Thursday and Friday around Lubbock, mid 80s today, but upper 80s expected Thursday and Friday around Midland. It looks like you're going to be staying dry with temperatures slowly going up over the next few days. Central Texas, though, around Austin, low 80s for tomorrow with that chance of rain and storms. We dry out for Thursday, also looking dry for Friday, but it will be significantly warmer with highs climbing into the upper 80s. Fredericksburg looks pretty nice. Now, today there's going to be that chance of rain. Tomorrow, that chance of rain. But temperatures in the upper 70s. By the time we get to Thursday, temperatures climb into the mid 80s. South Texas, we see that chance of rain tomorrow in San Antonio, drying out for your Thursday around Corpus Christi, mid 80s, but around Laredo, we're looking at low 90s today, low 90s tomorrow, and mid 90s by the time we get to Friday. North Texas, we've got that chance of rain and storms tomorrow. We dry out for Thursday and Friday looks a little bit more pleasant. And East Texas, we look dry around Houston today, upper 80s for Thursday, and then by Friday, temperatures in the mid 80s. Tyler, Texas, a chance of rain and storms on your Wednesday and Thursday. And then looking at the valley, it looks very warm around McAllen. We've got temperatures in the low 90s today, tomorrow, and Thursday. By Friday, we're still in the low 90s, but adding a little bit more wind.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. We're learning new details about a deadly shooting that left a 16-year-old student dead. Mitty Hicks spoke with neighbors and students at Lancaster High School, and they're still trying to process the shooting right now.
He was shook up going to school this morning.
Patrick McDonald has a student at Lancaster High School.
He started crying.
He says Monday started out tough for his team after learning that 16-year-old Meyer Anthony Jr. was killed over the weekend.
All the cop cars were all down there in that circle, in that little cul-de-sac.
What his child doesn't know yet
it was a lot of them.
Is the incident happened so close to home.
When he finds out that it was on our block, that's going to be earth-shattering.
McDonald says this area is quiet. That's why he was shocked waking up to gunshots around 1 a.m. Sunday. He saw police lights, but thought it was something else.
I said a little prayer. I said maybe somebody had a heart attack. I was not thinking death.
Anthony was a sophomore, and the news is shocking for students.
It's really sad because he's way younger than I am, and I just couldn't imagine how my family would feel if that was me. So my condolences definitely go out to them because I know this is very hard.
You hate to see it. You know, he was so young, starting, in football, and he was going to be a junior next year, probably playing varsity.
And a spokesperson with Lancaster ISD says support services are available for students and staff impacted by this tragedy. In terms of an investigation, local police say they are currently investigating, but they do believe this is an isolated incident. In Lancaster, I'm Mitty Hicks.
New video shows a U-Haul truck leading Carrollton police on a chase. An officer tried to pull the driver over for littering and failing to signal. The truck went over medians, through gas stations, and down alleys before eventually surrendering. The two people inside were wanted for fraud and theft. With the cost of driving going up, some people are considering all their options, including Amtrak. But Brittany Costello explains why Oklahoma wants to pull its funding on a major route to Fort Worth.
These travelers will tell you.
You get to pick your seat, it's spacious, there's meals on board.
The Heartland Flyer.
It's actually faster than flying.
An Amtrak train that runs from Oklahoma City to Fort Worth is the only way to travel.
The train ride was wonderful.
One way, $36. For Ted Streck, it means visits from family like Peggy Asensio. Elaine Roselle says it's access to medical facilities and a gateway for college football fans to experience the Red River rivalry. But the train itself is causing a new back and forth between states that was highlighted last week at the Oklahoma State Legislature.
The state of Texas is saying they don't want to fund it, so I don't think it should be on the state of Oklahoma to subsidize it and keep it alive.
Oklahoma lawmakers say they are not including funding for the Heartland Flyer in their budget. Comes after the state legislature in Texas didn't pass funding for its portion last year.
If things don't turn around, we're probably, I'm guessing that they'll maybe shut down by the end of the fiscal year.
The Regional Transportation Council approved emergency funding to cover Texas's portion, but time and money are running out. Peter Lakoti is president of the Texas Rail Advocates.
The Heartland Flyer goes away. We're putting 80,000 plus passengers back out on Interstate 35.
He says they want to see more trips, not fewer. Same for Gary Landman, who is a rail advocate from Oklahoma.
We need all hands on deck now to try to stop this thing.
If the Heartland Flyer stops running,
that would make me upset.
The passengers will pay the biggest price of all.
I think it's going to leave an enormous gap.
In Fort Worth, I'm Brittany Costello.
I had a noise complaint just last night.
I think a concert at the home of the State Fair of Texas would bother neighbors up to 5 miles away, but residents in East Dallas lodged noise complaints 2 nights in a row. As Richard Solomon reports, a music festival wasn't confined to those who came to watch it.
For 2 nights straight.
Even here, you won't expect like loud music.
Neighbors of East Dallas and Lakewood heard a steady pounding beat.
So this is the first time that it seems like we have an answer for what it was this time.
The answer, a music festival 5 miles away at Fair Park. Even businesses heard it.
You could hear it all the way on the block, everything.
And at the Laboratory DXT shoe store in Lower Greenville, Maxwell Sternwise says it quickly became Sunday's conversation.
So it's really cool to see all these new, interesting things coming around. Yeah, it might be a little too loud to hear when I can hear it over here, but it's still super cool to see.
But not everyone shares that same sentiment. The music came from the Breakaway Music Festival and concerts at Dos Equis Pavilion. Residents of East Dallas and Lakewood took to social media and the Nextdoor app, sharing their frustration.
Get to the bottom of it. We can't have that. Fair Park is not Lower Greenville.
Yeah. On Sunday, Rudy Karimi with the Dallas Park and Recreation Department shared with me they want Fair Park to be vibrant and electric, but not at the expense of other residents' quality of life. He said in a statement, leaders will take a closer look at the event later this week to see what can be improved so this doesn't happen again. Councilmember Adam Bazaldua said the stage position, which faced open land, and weather played into why the sound carried farther than expected.
If they can keep it in Fair Park and find a way to keep the volume a little bit down, then why not?
There are no concerts scheduled at Fair Park for Sunday evening, but for many neighbors, the conversation about noise is just getting started. In Dallas, I'm Richard Solomon.
We usually think in terms of outward growth, but as Janelle Fort reports, the momentum in Hurst, Euless, and Bedford is turning inward.
In North Texas, growth usually gets measured by how far out it stretches. New neighborhoods, new highways, new developments on the edge of the map. But in Hurst, Euless, Bedford, the story is not about the next far-flung frontier. It's about a community in the middle, proving it still has plenty of new chapters left.
In HEB, it's all about redevelopment. Our cities are investing in the property in the cities, and doing private-public partnerships.
Mary Frazier is the president and CEO of the HEB Chamber of Commerce.
And the three cities work together with the school district, with the chamber, with the hospital. I think that's our secret sauce.
And you don't have to look very hard to see what she means. International retailer Primark has a store opening at Northeast Mall on the 30th, new homes, major rebuilds at both of the area's high schools, and of course, the new addition off of Highway 121.
We finally got an HEB.
Set to open this summer, the grocery chain is known for being choosy about where it builds.
What do you think that says about this area?
It says what a good location we are.
Just ask the pizza shop down the road.
We actually had our first location off of Bedford-Euless Road called Joe's Pizza. We were there for quite some time. Then my dad opened this up in about 2004.
Arsim Lushai's family owns Euless staple Lushai Pizza, right next to the construction at Trinity High School and less than 5 minutes from the new HEB.
You get to see everything, in real time. You get to really just take it all in.
And he says it's a great view.
It gives us hope for, the future. It really does. It means that, this area is going to develop more. That means, God willing, we'll be here for another 22 years.
In HEB, I'm Janelle Ford.
At 22, perhaps more. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. We're following new developments in the effort to remove Corpus Christi Mayor Paulette Guajardo after a 5-3 vote by City Council to advance the petition to have her removed. Her attorney is now urging members to pause, warning that moving forward could cost the city. Natalia Osuna has more.
A divided city council and a legal warning as Corpus Christi's mayor faces mounting pressure.
The vote carries.
It was March 24th when council members voted to move forward with a petition calling for Mayor Paulette Guajardo's removal from office. 2 weeks later, Guajardo's attorney, John Flood, sent this letter addressed to council members, informing them she's hired legal services. Flood spoke with 3 News, sharing his insight and intention behind that letter.
Over the last couple months, the city council has taken some steps that really threaten some of the constitutional rights that she holds, that we all hold.
Flood says he questions the intention behind council members' decision to move forward.
Multiple law enforcement agencies, the FBI, the Texas Rangers, Police Department, District Attorney's Office have all concluded that there was no wrongdoing by anyone, much less the mayor. And so you have to ask yourself, well, then why is this happening? And so it's happening for political reasons, which is an unconstitutional reason.
The petition is on the agenda for next week's council meeting. Ahead of that, I spoke with fellow city leaders from both sides of the issue on where things stand for them now. Councilmember Mark Scott is one of 3 who voted against the petition.
This information that John provided that says really you may want to have a hearing, but you're not going to have a quorum. And if you do go forward, it's going to cost the city an extraordinary amount of money because John's going to move forward with a lack of due process, and he's going to win. I mean, all of this is based on state law.
While Councilmember Gil Hernandez is one of 5 who voted for it.
We're technically the judge and jury on this process, so I'm trying to keep a distance from any predetermination and want to make sure that the process is fair for both us and her.
Meanwhile, the mayor's attorney says the final decision should be left to the voters.
Really, the way this is dealt with in a democracy will be dealt with in November. And if a majority of people think that the mayor shouldn't be the mayor anymore, so be it. That's democracy. That's what we all ought to have faith in.
And again, that issue on the April 14th agenda. Hey, there's new movement in South Texas's ongoing water crisis. Leaders in Mathis say that a new water well is on the way, while oil and gas companies are also stepping up conservation efforts. Michael Gibson has the latest.
Good news here in Mathis, as the city's first water well has now been drilled and should soon produce water that will flow into its system. Also, officials met with oil and gas industry leaders about what they're doing to try and save and conserve water throughout our area.
City leaders in Mathis say help could be coming from multiple directions. At a regional meeting this week, oil and gas leaders told officials they're conserving water by recycling and reusing it and could help support smaller communities.
I believe the industry
is going to put some type of plan together that'll benefit those smaller communities to help out, because it still impact their bottom line. And if they do nothing, they lose and the citizen lose.
County leaders who attended that meeting say the industry appears willing to step in.
Just from a sustainability review, they want to participate and help a lot of these communities. You know, my background is oil and gas, coming from a major oil company, and I know that these guys are willing to step in and help where they can.
State leaders echo that, saying companies are already working to stretch water supplies.
I think the industry, as far as what is associated with the Corpus Christi area, like a refining, other folks that are utilizing that water as industrial water, are doing all they can today to look at recycling more than what they have been in the past.
Back in Mathis, the city is moving forward with its own solution. That first well has been drilled roughly 600 feet into the Evangeline Aquifer and is expected to begin producing water by the end of May. A second well is set to be drilled in June, helping secure the city's water supply as Lake Corpus Christi levels continue to drop. Michael Gibson, 3 News.
Thank you, Michael. And that is a quick look at some of what's making news in South Texas.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A Waco nonprofit is making sure veterans have one less thing to worry about. The Veterans One Stop just opened a free barbershop, and our Juliana Jackson stopped by to show us the people behind the cuts.
It's a simple thing: a pair of clippers, a steady hand, and a few minutes in the chair. But for veterans, it can mean everything.
I'm a veteran myself, and I know what it's like to be a struggling veteran.
Clint Fletcher owns Robinson's Fletcher Barbershop, and he spent years building a career around something he loves. When the Veterans One Stop reached out and asked if he'd volunteer, he didn't hesitate.
If I would volunteer my service, I said absolutely.
The Heart of Texas Veterans One Stop opened the barbershop after seeing countless requests from veterans looking for haircut services. 2 Mondays a month, licensed volunteer barbers and hairstylists will staff the shop on a rotating basis by appointment at no cost.
Don't have the resources a lot of times to go and get a haircut. They're got one thing or another wrong, things going on, but especially the homeless, it's hard for them to come in.
Joe Robb served in the Air Force from 1978 to 1982.
And I decided to make a...
He says services like this one send a message that goes beyond just a fresh cut.
Veterans a lot of times need a little encouragement. It can be tough.
For veterans who have given so much to our country, sometimes feeling good is exactly where healing starts.
Good haircut, a nice shave, walk out of the barbershop feeling fresh and, look good, feel good.
Juliana Jackson, 6 News.
Meantime, the Central Texas Community Book Drive has officially kicked off. We are hoping to get books in the hands of Central Texas kids this summer. That's because some kids don't have easy access to books at home, and if they're not reading during the summer, they risk losing reading skills. Reports show that this can be detrimental to kids from kindergarten to 3rd grade, as these years are the most crucial for development. To help with this, 6 News is partnering with Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, United Way of Waco-McLennan County, Transformation Waco, and the Bledsoe Miller STEAM Center to distribute these books to kids in our community. United Way Waco's CEO Wendy Elson shared how it's essential that the community gets involved and donate when they can.
Really, it's all about making sure that we as a community are doing everything we can to encourage our children and make sure that we're creating a place for them to be able to be successful. And we think that part of that is putting books in their hands as early and as often as we can.
We are accepting new and like new children's books. Our goal is to collect at least 3,000 books by the end of our drive on April 24th. We have a wish list available on our website, kcntv.com/read. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. San Antonio police are looking for a shooter involved in a road rage incident. The shooting happened in a neighborhood off Old Pearsall Road on Monday morning. Earl Stoudemire has the latest.
San Antonio police have been interviewing witnesses right behind me on running course off of Old Pearsall Road, where a man in this truck was hit in the road rage shooting. Police got the call for a shooting at 8:40 a.m. When officers showed up, they say a 38-year-old man was shot in his upper right shoulder. After speaking with witnesses, police say this was a road rage incident. Police say a woman was leaving their driveway on running course when a man between 25 to 30 years old was driving in a white truck. Police say the two began arguing, and the woman started taking photos of the man. That's when police say he grabbed the woman's phone. The victim, who was nearby, tried to get him to give it back. According to police, the victim started driving away, and that's when the shooter opened fire, hitting the victim's black truck. Police say the man asked bystanders for help until EMS showed up to put a tourniquet on him. He's now in the hospital getting treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the shooter drove off after the shooting and are gathering information at the scene. We'll continue to follow this investigation. On the southwest side, Earl Stoudemire, KENS 5.
A district judge is hearing new testimony surrounding the deadly floods at Camp Mystic last summer. One family is asking the judge to prevent the camp from renovating and reopening as the search continues for their 8-year-old daughter. The family of Seal Stewart is calling for accountability from the camp, demanding no changes be made to the camp to preserve evidence. Seal remains the only camper whose body has not been found. Camp Mystic is looking to reopen portions of their site this year following new safety laws which required the installation of flood monitoring units. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has urged the Texas Department of State Health Services to not renew the camp's license as the Texas Rangers investigate. Major relief is coming to downtown. Construction on South Alamo Street is set to be completed on Wednesday. After years of frustration and adjustment, it'll be done just in time for Fiesta. Rania Kaur has the story.
Construction has become the soundtrack to La Villita.
It's been a headache. All of us here in La Villita have been feeling it for the last several years.
Delays have stretched the timeline of the South Alamo project that began in 2022. Blink's owner, Brandy Garcia, has seen it change the historic neighborhood.
And with the South Alamo construction making it really confusing for a lot of visitors and tourists to walk, they just don't want to mess with the trouble and make their way out here.
Even Nyosa has had to pivot.
We had to park the trucks for the vendors, bring their trucks in for our food and our beverages, and we just need to, we use the curbs along where the construction's going to put them to provide stuff for us.
The city says that the South Alamo project will reach, quote, substantial completion this week, and that any lane or sidewalk closures near these attractions will be related to Fiesta events.
We were very optimistic that they were going to actually do what they said, and it looks like they're actually doing it for us.
It's set to reopen Wednesday. Garcia is cautiously optimistic.
I feel like something is going to happen and we're going to be told, oh, it's going to be another 9 more months or something like that. It's one of those things where I feel like I'll believe it when I see it.
Nyosa starts next Tuesday, April 21st, and runs until April 24th. More information on our website, kens5.com. From La Villita, Rania Kaur, KENS 5.
Gas prices across the country have been rising over the last several weeks, and they're showing no sign of slowing down. As Jeremy Baker reports, it's all due to the conflict in the Middle East and how the U.S. is involved in the war.
Gas prices are once again on the way up. The reason, a spike in the price of oil following President Trump's announcement of the new blockade in the Strait of Hormuz.
And if very quickly we return to escalations, that could send oil prices even higher.
According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of regular gas nationwide sits at $4.12. 1 month ago, drivers were paying $3.63 a gallon. Here in Texas, the average price for a gallon of regular sits between those two at $3.80.
You're going to decide, well, you know what? I got to fill my tank because I got to go to work, but it doesn't mean I have to go through a drive-through. It doesn't mean I have to go buy some certain kinds of food items and such.
With more and more drivers spending more and more on gas, we went to Facebook to ask how it has affected their spending. Clem Davila said, "I'm retired. My income stays the same, so I just eat at home more and less going out, not a burden, yet I drive a Sonata." Warren Lauer responded, "More time at home and filling the freezer with fresh meat instead of processed also helps the pocket in the long run." Diesel prices are up big time too, and in time that will mean higher prices at the grocery store.
Diesel prices are at more risk of returning to an increase here rather quickly, and by later this week, we could see diesel prices rubbing up against new all-time records.
DeHaan also told us he expects prices could rise by as much as 10 to 15 cents per gallon this week. And as always, for the cheapest gas prices near you, we have links to Gas Buddy and the AAA's website with this story on KENS5.com. From the city's northwest side, Jeremy Baker, KENS 5.
The San Antonio Zoo is celebrating 2 special new additions. These are called cotton-top tamarins. The mom gave birth to these twins in late March. A fun fact about these animals, about 80% of them, or these births that is, result in twins. But what makes these primates special is the fact they are an endangered species, with roughly 6,000 left in the wild. And that's the news in San Antonio.
Hi, I'm Dan Millay, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. AI is changing how businesses operate, even here in East Texas. CBS 19's Nayeli Carrillo shows us how a longtime print shop and a marketing agency are adapting to artificial intelligence without losing the human touch.
Kind of right at the heart of Tyler.
Inside Espresso Print Cafe and Hanson Image Works, it's a mix of old and new.
It developed into an award-winning marketing agency here in East Texas, and even won some international awards. And so over time, it just developed into other print shops were going out of business.
Printers humming, designers working, and now artificial intelligence entering the workflow.
There's definitely dangers of AI, and then there's also definitely uses where it's incredibly helpful.
Director of Operations Sean Hansen says AI is helping with troubleshooting, brainstorming, and even writing.
Now, what it's not doing here, and what it will never do here, is replace people.
But when it comes to the final product, from banners to business cards, Hansen says there's still no substitute for human expertise.
Always want to clean up anything that AI has done.
But that shift isn't just happening in print, it's changing marketing too. At Group M7, teams are seeing AI reshape how businesses connect with customers.
AI has actually made content faster and cheaper to produce, but a lot of it feels generic. And that's actually pushed us to focus even more on strategy and differentiation and conversion.
Andy Martinez says clients now want something AI can't provide. A real human connection.
Someone that has the business acumen, more in East Texas, someone that understands our community, understands the value that they're bringing to the community. We have such a unique place that we call home.
For both businesses, the message is clear. AI may change the tools, but not the need for creativity.
Be adaptive and understand that the only thing constant in our industry is change, not the tools that we use.
You still have to be a creative thinker.
As AI continues to evolve, businesses here in Tyler say success will come from balancing new technology with human skill and strategy. In Tyler, Nayeli Carrillo, CBS 19.
Pencils are sharpened and screens are glowing. This morning in Tyler ISD, students are walking into one of the most stressful weeks of the school year as the STAR testing window officially begins. For the next 2 weeks, students in grades 5 through 8 will take the state's standardized exams, tests that measure how much they've learned since the start of the school year and whether they're ready to move on to the next grade. Tyler ISD leaders say months of instruction and review have led up to this moment, calling STAR a summative assessment, essentially the final checkpoint before summer break. And while Texas plans to eventually shift towards shorter, more frequent testing starting in the 2027-2028 school year, for now students still face this single cumulative testing window.
You know, we encourage our students, it's just another test, but you've prepared for this moment. It's really just a time for them to show what they've learned throughout the year. And so we treat it that way. It's another day of the school year, but a lot of students know it's kind of getting towards the end of the year once they take that test.
For parents looking to help their kids through the week, the district's advice is to keep things low-key at home and that a good night's sleep and a high-protein breakfast are the best tools a student can have. The current testing window runs through April 24th. People packed the streets of downtown Longview over the weekend, where the city kicked off its America 250 celebration with the Chautauqua Festival. The event marked the start of a months-long series that will celebrate America's anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This weekend's festivities included live music, theatrical performances, festive food, and a light show. Leaders say the celebration is a joint effort with Gregg County and local organizations across East Texas.
So we've got a combination of several events that are all coming together today as part of this kickoff. We've got some classic events that have been happening for several years here in Longview, including the Chautauqua Festival and Dalton Days, and also a downtown live concert. You know, our goal with this was collaboration, not just doing it as Longview, but partnering with Gregg County, reaching out to our neighboring communities and saying, hey, this is a special celebration, and if you've got ways that you want to partner, we'd love to have that.
More events are planned for later this month, and they continue until July 4th. Those are your East Texas headlines for today. I'm Dan Millay.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. We're learning more about two separate crashes in Chambers County that happened Friday night. Sheriff Brian Hawthorne telling us that one of them killed a mother, her two children, and a friend. DPS says the first crash happening on FM 563 just south of I-10. They say that a Chrysler 300 traveling north when it veered off the road and hit a tree. All four of the people inside the car, they were pronounced dead at the scene. Now, the victims have been identified as 37-year-old Kara Beagle of Liberty, who was driving the car along with her two children, 15-year-old Micaiah Gray and 16-year-old Marco Beagle. A GoFundMe has been started for the family. Also in that vehicle was 19-year-old Jashawn Godfrey, who was a family friend killed in the crash as well. A GoFundMe has also been created for him. DPS says that second crash had happened in Winnie. They say that a Nissan Rogue was traveling at an unsafe speed south on 1st Street. The driver failed to stop at a stop sign and hit a solid fixture. The driver was a minor and pronounced dead at the scene. One passenger, also a minor, was transported to Winnie Community Hospital and is expected to be okay. East Chambers ISD took to their Facebook page after these accidents, saying in part, quote, "With heavy hearts, we share that two students were involved in an overnight accident and one student passed away. Now, we are deeply grieving as a school community, and our thoughts and prayers are with the student's family and friends during this incredibly difficult time." Liberty ISD also taking to Facebook, saying in part, quote, "We are heartbroken by the loss our community is experiencing following a fatal car accident involving LHS students last night. When words fall short, all that we can do is come together and support one another." Now, the districts are going to be providing counselors to students and staff. And we're working to learn more about an officer-involved shooting in Orange Friday night that left a dog dead. Witnesses telling us that telling our 12 News crew at the scene that an Orange police officer was pursuing a car in the 2300 block of Godwin Circle when a suspect got out and ran into the backyard of a home. Witnesses say that the officer followed the suspect but was bitten by a dog and then shot and killed the animal. The homeowner and the owner of the dog speaking to us off camera, expressing his frustration with the way the officer handled the situation, saying in part, "I'm holding them accountable. I've spent a lot of time and money breeding these dogs, and my kids love their pet." The owner added that the officer should have used mace instead of their gun. They are now in contact with a lawyer about this incident. We've reached out to Orange Police, and we are still waiting to hear back. A woman is behind bars after she led police on a high-speed chase back and forth between Orange and Jefferson counties. That woman, now identified as Leanne Patillo, who was on a motorcycle, according to Orange County Sheriff Bobby Smith. He says the chase had started early Sunday morning in Orange County. Now, she first went to Beaumont before she turned around and headed back to Orange County, at times traveling more than 100 miles an hour. That chase had finally ended on Highway 62 at the Phillips 66 gas station. The sheriff says Patillo was arrested and is facing charges for evading arrest. DPS is investigating after another high-speed chase Sunday across multiple counties ended with the driver in custody and his vehicle badly damaged. Jasper County Sheriff Chuck Havard said that Silsbee Police and Jefferson County deputies, they chased the SUV into Jasper County, then through Kirbyville and into Newton County. The sheriff's office says that a Texas DPS trooper used a pit maneuver, sending that Jeep off the road and into a tree. The driver was taken to a hospital with minor injuries. Charges are pending. Well, after just over a year, the Rainbow Bridge in Port Arthur to Bridge City, it is back open as of Saturday. TxDOT says the project included major concrete repairs and steel railing work. crews. They also replaced rivets and pins critical to the bridge's structure. The project, it was expected to take 18 months, but crews, they were able to finish about 6 months early. And those were the headlines here from Southeast Texas.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.